Out comes Umbreon. We see the pivot into Primeape, baiting back out Nidoqueen. Primeape, super spammy, going to go straight for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent going to build 2 potential Earth Power, which would be the hardest move left in the game. We invest that protection, of course, the opponent bait with the Poison Fang, debuff in my defense. Primeape gonna farm up, throw the Rage Fist on the CMP side. Rage Fist removes Nidoqueen from the field of play. Back out comes Umbreon. Primeape just going straight for the close combat, but is this enough to knock out? Well, you're gonna have to watch the video to find out. So welcome back to the channel. Last season, as well as pretty much every season since about season 8, I've run different variations of fighter, double dark poison. Season 20's move rebalance saw counter nerfed, and I had numerous questions asking what would be my lead this season. Whilst counter might have got nerfed, Karate Chop got a huge buff, so the answer to that question was quite simple for me: Primeape. I really like its quick energy generation and super spammy hard hitting charge moves. I've been best buddy in this thing long before we even knew it was going to get a com day, so the fact it got Rage Fist was just a huge bonus for me. I did of course try the Primeape double dark poison line, and to be honest didn't have the greatest success. I have got some battles recorded, but I didn't really feel it performed as I wanted it to. The newly buffed Mud Slappers were giving that team an absolute headache. Recently I saw someone run a Drapion, a double fighter with Annihilape and Primeape, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give that team a try. After tanking 250 elo running various nonsense that I couldn't get to work, I used this team and gained 200 points. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we're going to lead Drapion into another Man of Culture running Primeape. This is definitely a matchup where having the Stab Sludge Bomb is very advantageous over the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does around 35%, Sludge Bomb lands for big damage, the opponent able to withstand it, they farm to 10. This is enough for a double close combat. As we're on an ABB team, I need to keep Drapion alive, so we're going to shield one, catch the second onto Annihilate, where it will be double resisted. Primeape's usually a safe switch for this team. However, of course, you don't really want to catch a close combat from an attack-weighted Pokemon on your own attack-weighted Glass Cannon. Our safe switch Annihilate is met by the Balloon. It's nice to bait this thing out so Primeape doesn't have to see it. There's another reason why we always switch out, in case the opponent's got another check for our second fighting type. Although in fairness, Drifblim, not all that advantageous into Primeape this season due to access to Rage Fist. We're able to force our Protect Shield back. The opponent fire off the Icy Wind. They are able to outpace the next one, and that looks like Rage Fist range to me. After spending so many resources on Primeape, we're putting it all on this Angry Ape looking to sweep. We send out Primeape, go for the correct 4 Karate Chops and the Rage Fist, removing the balloon from the field of play. The opponent has their own Shadow Drapion in the back, and this could get somewhat tricky. A close combat does around 80%, so we're going to need to get off quite a lot of Karate Chop damage. We tank the Aqua Tail, calling the opponent doesn't have Sludge Bomb. We pause a turn, ensuring the opponent doesn't make that catch. Fire off the close combat, forcing the protection. The opponent pivots out into Primeape. We Karate Chop farm down, leaving with the second close combat, and that is going to be all she wrote, with Primeape sweeping the team. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Drapion into Feraligatr, a pretty neutral matchup. Despite us hitting for neutral with our Poison Stings, the opponent hitting for resisted with their Shadow Claws, the opponent is able to win this in the 0 and the 1 shield. That's because Drapion and Gator pace at exactly the same speed to their charge moves, and Gator has the higher attack. We both exchange charge moves. I then see the pivot into Primeape, knowing Primeape would be able to come in, fire off the Rage Fist, winning CMP. The opponent save their Gator and pivot out into the Balloon. I said in the previous battle, this is not a bad matchup for us whatsoever, and you're about to see why. We are so spammy. The Balloon might be offering a lot of fast move pressure, but the charge move pressure is all with us. We're going to shield at the Icy Wind, continue to throw Rage Fist after Rage Fist. The opponent's already found himself, all shields down. The opponent switches back out into Gator. We farm up, throw the next Rage Fist on the charge attack priority. Rage Fist removes Gator from the field of play. If the Balloon returns, Primeape with its rank 1 maximum bulk will be looking to reach the next Rage Fist. The opponent looks for that Astonished farm down. Primeape says no, fires off the next Rage Fist. Primeape absolutely popping off. We pivot out into Annihilate. The opponent's got Licky Licky, and that's going to be all she wrote. In the next battle, we see the battle of the poison types. A pretty neutral matchup. Drapion going to have the heavy pacing advantage in this matchup, but the bulk is all with Big Squidward. We land the crunch. The opponent goes straight for a Scald. Scald does quite a lot to Drapion. My Drapion's actually a hundo, so IVs are pretty poor. We're going to fire off one further crunch, then look to save Drapion for a potential fairy type, and then catch the charge move onto Primeape. Even my rank 1 Primeape is pretty glassy, but thankfully the opponent only fires off an acid spray and then send out Guzzlord. These Dragon Tails tearing through Primeape with a -1 defense. We're going to farm up. We're actually going for a cheeky Rage Fist bait, knowing the opponent likely want alignment. The Rage Fist gets shielded, meaning this close combat will easily knock out, to be honest. Even if it wasn't +1, close combat would secure the knockout, and just like that, we've got ourselves a 2-0 shield advantage. This Guzzlord has so much energy, but I'm not going to shield the first move in case the opponent's got crunch and they debuff my defense. Thankfully, it's only a break-in swipe, so we're going to throw one further counter, look to catch the next break-in swipe onto Drapion, keeping our 2 shields intact. I send back out Primeape at this stage. I'm just going to go for the 1 shield, full counter farm down, and look to go nuke in. Thankfully, Tentacruel is quite low, and whatever's in the back hopefully gets nuked. Out comes Licky, far too thicky. You see, we both pause a turn. That was probably about 3 turns. The opponent still make the catch. A nice catch, trainer, but it's simply too little, too late. As we're only 1 counter off the next close combat ape. Going to double close combat the back line and take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Drapion into Clefable. Clefable not too bad into an Aqua Tail variant of Drapion, but of course, we've got Sludge Bomb. Does this opponent respect the damage? They do not. The opponent fucked about. They found out. The opponent only going to get 1 chance to throw a Moonblast. We invest the Protect Shield, correctly shield the Moonblast. The opponent say switches into Guzzlord, and I send out Annihilate. Of course, the counter nerf only affected its energy generation. Its damage output is still as good as it ever was. We tank the charge move, throw 1 counter and the Rage Fist. After landing that Rage Fist, we should be able to get the full counter farm down, which is best case scenario. We leave quite minimal farm, and even with a boosted charge move, good to go. The opponent sends out Drifblim, we fire off the Rage Fist, forcing the Protect Shield, and this game looks signed, sealed and delivered. We're going to continue to farm up, anticipating the opponent try and make the catch. The catch attempt is unsuccessful. The opponent's still playing it out, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure why. Win con's pretty non-existent. In fairness to the opponent, I haven't seen my third yet. It could potentially be a grass type, or at least so they would hope, meaning they've potentially still got a win con. However, we've got Primeape, so this game is signed, sealed and delivered. We bank the crunch, send out Primeape, fire off the Rage Fist, the opponent invest that Protect Shield. Okay. At this point, you know what time it is. We are going to go for that bad manners. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I'm pretty frustrated at this game recently, so it kind of is what it is. We fire off the close combat, which is triple resisted. Actually doesn't quite knock out. We send out Drapion, and we even get 1 turn bring in. But regardless, this game is still in the bag. We should have the Icy Wind. I could have went for another Sludge Bomb, but I guess that's a bit too rude at this point. We fire off the crunch, hitting no bubbles, and take that game. In the next battle, once again, we see PvPoke's #1 ranked pick, Shadow Gator. The opponent actually read me like a book, predicting I'm going to throw on 7, making a very nice catch onto Galarian Moltres where the crunch is resisted. We're going to answer the Galarian Moltres save switch with Primeape. Of course, Annihilape's counters would do more than our Karate Chops, but as with Part Ghost, the Sucker Punches would hit for neutral, whereas they are resisted by Primeape. If you've ever watched me battle, you know I'm not a huge fan of baiting, so we're just YOLOing close combat, looking to land it, nuking the opponent from the sky. The opponent invests both protections, fire off the Ancient Power, then send out Galarian Weezing, getting the snipe. Oh boy, Annihilape doesn't really have anywhere to run or hide against this team. We send back out Drapion, fire off the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb lands, doing some very solid damage. The opponent's at a potential play rough or OV. I look to call the bait, and I suddenly find myself in a shambolic position. Drapion actually able to fire off the crunch on the charge attack priority. Crunch isn't lethal, however does leave him in counter farm down range. The issue is, we can't really tank any charge move from the opponent's remaining 2 Pokemon. We send that Annihilate, back out comes Gator. Not only are the Shadow Claws super effective, the Hydro Cannon's going to do so much damage. Of course, I have to tank 1, because if not, I'm just going to get Brave Birded to the face. But you're going to see Hydro Cannon does far too much. I'm not even going to bother throwing a charge move. The opponent Shadow Claw farm me down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Greninja in the lead. We save switch into Primeape, baiting out Nidoqueen. We're going to go straight Rage Fist, of course. Looking the Vampire attack. The first one doesn't do too much damage, but the second will do objectively more. This opponent builds up to the Earth Power. To be honest, I've got no intention of shielding Primeape, so if you want an Earth Power trainer, be my guest. Of course, this opponent, much like most Nidoqueen users, opt to go for the Poison Fang, which is very nice for me, meaning we're going to reach another Rage Fist and actually force a protection off Nidoqueen. If this was a Shadow Nidoqueen, it'd be quite scary because an Earth Power would threaten the one-shot. As with the regular variant, an Earth Power isn't quite lethal, so we're just going to tank the damage. Look to put it all on Ape. The opponent actually try and catch a crunch onto Greninja. We bank the crunch for the road, send out Annihilape. The opponent bait with the Night Slash, which is quite unfortunate. But then this is only a Night Slash. We are going to be able to tank one move. It's still going to do a lot because we're glassy and they hit like a truck. We do get a full counter farm down, which is pretty advantageous for us, as Annihilape's pacing is pretty horrendous this season. Even when you've got a 35 energy charge move, it isn't all that quick. The opponent sends out Drapion. Win con for them is catching. We shield up the Aqua Tail, pause a turn, ensuring the close combat lands on its intended target. Close combat forces the opponent's final protection. We pause. This time the opponent doesn't make the catch. We farm up, throw the Rage Fist on the CMP tie. Rage Fist removes Nidoqueen from the field of play. We debuffed our own defense earlier, but the opponent unable to Poison Sting, farm us down, and Annihilape sweeps the back line. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see our old nemesis, the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. Drapion going to go for 7 Poison Stings and the Crunch, which is 14 turns into the opponent's 15 turns, only giving away 1 free turn. The opponent banks a boatload of energy, well actually 60 to be precise, and then send out Drapion. We answer the Drapion save switch with Primeape. I could have went Annihilate, but I was actually hoping this was an Aqua Tail variant. This opponent, a Man of Culture, and hit me in the face for Sludge Bomb, and that did so much damage. And the Drapion is actually incredibly thick. I can't quite believe we didn't actually move him from the field of play there, but it is what it is. My Hundo Drapion definitely wouldn't have survived there, although in fairness, my Primeape probably doesn't hit as hard as other people's, as it is the maximum low attack variant. Out comes Skunk Tank, cool to see another fun variation of the classic double dark poison line. I bank all of energy and send out Annihilate. I'm actually going to choose to invest a Protect Shield as my counters are just doing ridiculous damage. And I don't want to lose with 2 Protect Shields like you often see me do on this channel. We fire off the Rage Fist, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and I'm happy to just put it all on Drapion. The boosted Trailblaze removes me from the field of play. I farm up as much energy as I physically can before unleashing the Crunch. Crunch knocks out Skunk Tank. As long as 2 Incinerates don't knock us out, we're home and dry. We go for 2 Poison Stings and the Crunch. Crunch does over half the remaining HP. We're able to survive the next Incinerate, reach the next Crunch, and Drapion is going to clean up. GG's. In the next battle, we see Shadow and Shadow Crime with Drapion into Dragonite. Whenever I've played this matchup previously, I feel like a lot of trainers try and catch the Crunch. I'm going to try and 5-head this opponent and actually throw a Sludge Bomb first. Even if you go Sludge Bomb first, you're still going to be able to outpace Dragonite, as Dragonite's going to take the equivalent of 6 Poison Stings to each Dragon Claw. We throw the Sludge Bomb at this point. I'm just going to throw the Crunch. Even if the opponent catches, I just want to guarantee, try and get this move off, winning the 1-shield scenario. As I'm on an ABB team, I instantly pivot into Primeape, regardless of what the opponent sends out, looking to check if they've got a fighting type counter. They do have a fighting type counter, and that is why it's important to always pivot and use an ABB team correctly. Baiting this thing out is fantastic, because Annihilape no longer has to see it, and we've still got some of Drapion left to handle it. Once Primeape goes down, the opponent actually bait with a brutal swing, which I'm certainly not complaining about, meaning we're going to reach yet another boosted Rage Fist, getting the opponent very, very deep in the red. Primeape has more than done its job. The resisted brutal swing actually isn't quite lethal. The opponent saved G-Weezy on a sliver of HP. We can send out Annihilape. I'm not going to shield the first move, as the opponent likely go for a Trailblaze, meaning the second will do more damage. Looking at the counter damage, I don't even think I need to throw another charge with here. We're going to shield the brutal swing. I'm then going to farm up, look to make the catch onto Drapion unsuccessfully, but we Poison Sting farm down G-Weezy, and take that game. In the next battle, we see Drapion into Annihilape. So this is essentially their bait game. The opponent, of course, would need to full send a close combat to remove us from the field of play. They actually try and catch a Crunch onto Licky, far too thicky. I send out Annihilape. We get Shadow Ball to the face. I think I should have actually went Primeape here, but the thought process is that Primeape far outpaces Annihilape. So if we get stuck in that matchup later, we're going to be in a great spot. The opponent sends back out their own ape and opt to fire off energy. Of course, Rage Fist not only removes me from the field of play, but now vamps up their counter damage. But we've still got a whole heap of energy on Drapion, and 2 Crunches from a Shadow Drapion are going to be enough to knock out. The opponent tanks the first, the second, probably forces a shield. As the opponent's boosted, they're probably going to ride that boost. After gaining a shield advantage, we send out Primeape. I'm going to respect the boosted Rage Fist, as I don't want to die to something with fast move pressure in the back. The opponent tried their luck catching the Rage Fist onto Ampharos unsuccessfully, and we're going to full send the close combat just before the opponent reached their first charge move. Close combat actually isn't quite lethal. According to PvPoke, that should be lethal, but I guess Maybe I looked at the Shadow variant, but it is what it is. It looks like 4 Karate Chops won't be lethal, so I'm going to throw 1 Karate Chop and the Rage Fist, moving Ampharos from the field of play without taking the Volt Switch damage. Back out comes Annihilate. We're going to fire off the Rage Fist, force the opponent's final protection and pivot out into Drapion and force the opponent to close combat. The opponent actually fires off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch isn't lethal. The opponent does counter Farm Down, but they're not going to be able to counter Farm Down my own Primeape before the next Rage Fist is reached, and we're going to take that game. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle. Well, that's a yikes lead. If I ever did see one, we save switch into Primeape, and out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. This is where Primeape's huge pacing comes in pretty clutch, to be honest, as we just so outpace this thing despite being a type disadvantage matchup. We've already landed 2 Rage Fists before the opponent even reaches their first charge move. I don't often fight for switch, but of course we want to keep Drapion away from Donphan. The opponent boosts up their own attack. We return the favour, boosting up our attack once again, and actually are able to take back switch. Out comes Tentacruel. We're going to bank a boatload of energy and send out Drapion, looking to get an energy lead for when Donphan does return. As we've got an energy lead now, perhaps the opponent might even stay in this matchup. We're going to farm up, throw on CMP. I should have actually switched 1 sooner on my Primeape, so I could have reached the double crunch before the next Scold was reached, which is a bit of a misplay on my part. I think I've made quite a few misplays in this battle, to be honest. There were certainly win cons in it, despite hard losing lead. I just don't feel I executed them particularly well. We send out Annihilate, the opponent pivots into Donphan. The mod slaps are doing a lot of damage, but as are the counters, and the counters are about to do even more damage as we're going to boost our attack, but likewise the opponent boosted their own with a Trailblaze. I think at this point I should just commit to the counter farm down. I actually end up throwing on alignment, thinking that next mod slap will take me out. It actually doesn't, and that is essentially where we're going to ruin this battle. The opponent take me out of the Trailblaze. At this point I need to hope 1 Karate Chop will knock him out so we can double Rage Fist Tentacruel. Yeah, that's kind of my frustration this season. I think so many times there's win cons, I just haven't been able to execute them, which is getting incredibly frustrating. Until this week, I've kind of been playing GBL like once a week and a bit of Battle Frontier, so I guess the less you play, the rustier you become. At this point, I've kind of got 2 choices, to be honest. I can either accept I'm washed up and fully retire and uninstall the game, or we can attempt to get better once again. Speaking of which, this is why I don't play that often. You can see I clicked the move there. How did we lose CMP? Primeape has like a 25 higher attack than their opponent. Oh man, Niantic, please fix this game. I end up going down a Protect Shield to win switch, but the opponent is going to need to full send a big move to move me from the field of play. The opponent fires off the Shadow Ball. With that information, I'm thinking most Lickitung have Body Slam. Hopefully this opponent isn't running Twin Nukes. With that being said, even though I've got Twin Nukes, 1 Earthquake, from a bulky Pokemon like Licky, far too thicky, will not knock us out. Moment of truth time. What is that second move? The opponent fire off the Earthquake. We pivot into Annihilate, and out comes Drapion. Of course, you never want to shield the first move in case the opponent debuff your defense, which this opponent does. Not only did Shadow and Shadow Crime that do so much damage, the poison stings are starting to add up as well. We're going to fire off the Rage Fist on the CMP type. Rage Fist goes shielded, and we really need 5 counters to knock out. If 5 counters knock out, I think this is definitely a win. Do we get the farm down? We do get that perfect farm down. Back out comes Licky. We're going to fire off 1 counter and the next Rage Fist. This is double resisted, but just boosts up my counter damage, meaning 3 further counters are enough to take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Drapion into Drifblim. The opponent save switches into Gator. We're going to fire off the Crunch. Once we've landed this, we're going to go into Primeape. Thankfully, it's a non-Shadow Gator, so we are going to tank a Hydro Cannon reasonably well, or about as well as a Primeape ever tanks a very hard-hitting move. I'm then going to farm up, throw the Rage Fist on CMP. I think the key to using Primeape is maximising energy. You've got a monstrous attack stat, so you can essentially play a CMP game with most things. I'm really hoping, as I've got a rank 1 Primeape, we're able to survive the next Astonish and reach the second Rage Fist, potentially putting this balloon very deep in the red. Unfortunately, Astonish still takes us out. I send back out Drapion, and out comes Annihilape. I'm going to fire off this Crunch and then enter the Mirror. 1 Crunch will put me into Rage Fist range from our own ape. We do get the defense shot, which is kind of unimportant in this battle, to be honest, as counter is double resisted, so you're never really going to counter farm down an opposing ape unless they're on like 6 HP. You saw my IVs earlier are incredibly wonky. They're like 10, 8, 7 or something. It does get to 2500 CP. It was kind of the only one I had that would make anywhere near that CP. So we win CMP in most matchups. The opponent actually catch the Rage Fist this time onto their own balloon, but they're forced to shield. We can pivot into Drapion. We're easily going to survive an Icy Wind here. I'm just going to farm up a boatload of energy before firing off the Crunch, removing the balloon from the field of play, and then the Crunch would knock out 8. The opponent recognised the game's over and concede the match. Heading into the next battle, we see the battle of the poison types. Regardless if you've got Crunch or Aqua Tail, 2 moves from Drapion essentially knock out when it's Shadow and Shadow Crime. If I wasn't on an ABB team, I'd probably look to call the bait. However, I kind of need Drapion, potentially for whatever they've got in the back. I invest to protect shield, the opponent of course bait with the Poison Fang, and then make a very nice catch, catching the Crunch as well. Jamie Finn, please get better at this game. I'm going to answer the Steelix save switch with Annihilate because the counters are going to do just crazy damage. We are going to be able to tank any one move, especially if the opponent doesn't build up to an Earthquake. They fire off the Psychic Fang, I'm going to throw 4 counters and the Rage Fist. And this is where Jamie is going to try and be smart. You will notice I'm doubled up, so I could throw back to back. However, if I do that, I think Nidoqueen just comes in, Poison Jab farms me down, and I'd be in so much trouble. So instead, what we're going to do is send out Drapion and go for the world's most aggressive Poison Sting farm down, leaving with all the energy in the world. Again, this isn't an Earthquake. The opponent actually fire off the Crunch. Drapion leaves at 100 energy. The opponent sends out Umbreon. We pivot into Primeape to get an energy lead, baiting back out Nidoqueen, and Primeape is off to the races. We fire off the Rage Fist forces the opponent's final protection. The opponent builds to an Earth Power once again. We are going to respect this, potentially it is the hardest move left in the game. The opponent bait me once again, but no bait. We'll be saving this opponent's fate. We fire off the Rage Fist on the charge attack priority. Rage Fist removes Nidoqueen from the field of play, back out. Comes Umbreon. I don't even care about timing. Close combat, almost picks up that 1-hit KO. Remove the Umbreon from my screen, and we take that game. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's showcase. Despite me being quite frustrated with a few misplays here and there, this team was phenomenal. I was able to go 11-2 yesterday morning while I was battling my lunch break. Shh, don't tell work. So if you're looking for a team to climb with, I'd highly recommend this. Primeape is a very good and well-deserved in this number 3 spot, despite what Dan Ottawa says. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to the battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.